Ethan sat on the couch, laptop balanced on his knees, eyes darting between the glowing screen and his phone. Notifications chimed like tiny alarms, one after another: emails, Slack messages, meeting reminders. The TV hummed in the background with a half-watched news segment, the anchor's voice blending into the static of his overworked mind. He didn't even notice when the coffee on the table went cold. "Ethan," her voice came softly from the doorway. He barely looked up. Yeah, give me a sec, Mia." But a sec had become hours lately. Mia stood there for a moment, watching him the way someone might look at a fading sunset, hoping it would linger just a little longer. Then, she walked over, picked up the remote, and turned down the volume until the room fell into a hush. The soft hum of the refrigerator and the clicking of Ethan's keys filled the silence. She leaned closer, her voice gentle but firm. "Now," she whispered, "you can focus on me." Ethan blinked, confused for a moment, then sighed and shut his laptop halfway. "Mia, I'm sorry. Work's been crazy. I have deadlines, and..." She smiled, though her eyes shimmered. "You've had deadlines for months. I'm not asking for hours, Ethan. Just a moment." The moment they forgot how to talk. Ethan used to love their moments, the late-night walks, the movie marathons, the inside jokes about burnt pancakes. But lately, everything had been replaced with meetings and muted calls. He had convinced himself he was doing it for her, for them. But somewhere in the chase for stability, he had stopped noticing how unstable their silence had become. That evening, they sat together at the kitchen table for the first time in weeks. The air smelled faintly of cinnamon and worry. Mia placed a small photo frame in front of him, one he hadn't seen in ages. It was the two of them on their first road trip, covered in sand and smiles, laughing at something that now seemed like another lifetime. "You remember this?" she asked. Ethan nodded, his throat tightening. "Of course I do. We were broke, the car broke down, and you sang off-key the whole time." She chuckled softly. "And you said it was the best day of your life." "I did." His voice cracked a little. "It was." Mia leaned forward, her tone shifting. "Ethan, I don't need you to buy things or work extra hours. I just want you back. The person who used to see the world instead of screens." A whisper that broke the noise. That night, Ethan couldn't sleep. He lay awake, her words replaying in his mind, "Now you can focus on me." They weren't a complaint. They were a plea. The next morning, something in him shifted. He closed his laptop, took the day off, and drove to Mia's workplace, a small local school where she taught art to kids with learning challenges. When he arrived, the laughter of children spilled through the hallways. Through the glass window, he saw her kneeling beside a boy who was struggling to draw a tree. She guided his small hand gently, helping him form uneven lines until the tree began to take shape. Her patience was infinite, her smile effortless. And suddenly, Ethan realized, she had been whispering all along. In her actions. In her kindness. In the quiet ways she showed up, even when he didn't. The gesture. That evening, Ethan came home before her for the first time in months. The apartment felt eerily quiet without the constant buzz of technology. He turned off his phone, dimmed the lights, and set up something simple yet meaningful. When Mia opened the door, she froze. The TV was off. The laptop was nowhere to be seen. On the table were 2 plates of takeout from their favorite small diner, the one where they used to talk about dreams instead of deadlines. "What's all this?" she asked, her voice trembling with surprise. Ethan walked up to her, nervous but determined. "I thought maybe tonight we could turn down the noise." She looked around, her lips curving into a slow smile. "You remembered." "I never really forgot," he said softly. "I just stopped listening." They ate together, laughed over silly memories, and for the first time in a long time, every second felt real. The twist. Weeks passed, and Ethan made small but steady changes. Weekend hikes replaced late-night emails. Sunday mornings became sacred again, pancakes, coffee, and no phones allowed. But life has its own timing. One morning, Mia didn't wake up feeling right. The headaches she'd been brushing off for months had grown worse. A doctor's visit turned into a diagnosis neither of them expected. Brain tumor. Early stage, but serious. The words hit Ethan like a tidal wave. He sat beside her in the hospital room, gripping her hand as machines hummed around them. For once, he had nothing to say. No schedule to manage. No problem to fix. Just her. She squeezed his hand, eyes calm despite the storm. "Hey," she whispered. "Now you can really focus on me." He laughed through the tears. "Don't you dare make jokes right now." "I'm not," she smiled faintly. "I just want to remind you that time isn't something we earn. It's something we share." The healing. Months passed, filled with treatments, long drives to the hospital, and quiet moments of togetherness. Ethan learned to be still, to sit beside her without filling the silence. He started sketching again, something he hadn't done since college. She'd smile and tease, "You're still terrible at drawing trees." Through it all, they rediscovered what love sounded like when the world was quiet. And slowly, Mia's health began to improve. The tumor responded to treatment, and the doctors were hopeful. The day they walked out of the hospital, hand in hand, the world seemed brighter, softer, like it had been waiting for them to notice it again. The full circle. Months later, Ethan was giving a talk at a corporate seminar about work-life balance. He looked out at the rows of tired faces, all carrying the same weight he once did. He smiled and began, "There was a time I thought success meant always being busy. But someone once turned down the volume in my life and taught me that silence can be love's loudest sound." In the audience, Mia sat quietly, smiling through tears. When he stepped down, she hugged him and whispered the same words that had changed everything. "Now you can focus on me." And he did, fully, completely, gratefully. Moral. Sometimes, love doesn't need to shout to be heard. Sometimes, it just needs you to turn down the volume and listen.